Well, the fronts of the legs, you have the lower leg and the upper leg, and you have knees. Now, there are people that have a ticklish sensation around the knee, and so to not shock them, if you go very gently into it, slowly up and around the knee, again, like the foot, you can usually get past the ticklishness. And it's important to do that. You don't want them to keep jumping, or you don't want that kind of discomfort. It is a defense mechanism, and so there's something that's there that probably can be worked. Now, with the upper leg, there's a space called the inguinal triangle that runs about from here to here, and inside this triangle is where there's a lot of lymph nodes, there's veins, there's arteries. They're rather close to the surface. It's best not to really work in here with massage. If you're going to work in it, you can pump it a little bit like so, just moving the lymph, but it's best not to go into this inguinal triangle with very much pressure with massage therapy. So we did the feet, and we're going to start here at the ankle. And I'm going to do thumb irons up alongside of the shin bone, the tibia. And here you want to run up close there, and you don't want to go too deep at first because it might be a little bit painful, a little bit shocking. I usually do things in threes for some reason. I guess that's what everybody's been trained to. And you're going to feel how the muscle is attached along this bone. So you'll get an idea where there's tension points. Then you want to move a little farther to the side and a little farther to the side. So there's like 3 areas that you're working. You'll be able to see it better on the other side, but maybe this is clear on this side. Then I go to the inside of the tibia, the shin bone, and come up the same way. And again, you want to get right along those attachments and feel if there's any tension in there, little ripples. Sometimes it feels kind of washboardy. And then you can go here a little bit farther into the calf itself. The gastrocnemius muscle has a split in it. I'll show you more of that on the other side. Then what I like to do is bring some kneading up from the center of the gastrocnemius, the calf muscle, up. And as you notice, my thumbs are along the bone line. Down and back up. And you're not really pushing hard. There's not a whole lot of pressure, but there's enough pressure to get into that muscle tissue without the muscle tissue pushing back at you. So this side of the leg, the inner side of the leg, gets a little more work in the kneading way. Now this other side of the leg, the outside of the leg, the lateral side, I take my thumbs and work down, similar to the way that we do it on the back along the spine. This is a cross fiber friction maneuver. And this is real nice because it stretches open the muscle, and then you can just run it up, and you'll find oftentimes doing that it's much smoother. When I first went up, there was quite a bit of rippling going up the shin, and now it feels relatively smooth. So now we're getting into the knee. Now if you bring your fingers up right below the knee and then hold it here above the knee, you'll feel a couple of like little places where your fingers kind of fit. Anchor the top hand, the hand that's on the thigh, and then you can just rotate that bottom part. You're getting a little bit of maneuvering in that joint of the knee. The knee is a hinge joint, so it doesn't move very much, but you are getting a little bit of, it's actually, what you're doing is draining a little bit around the joint. But that might be another way to calm down a relatively ticklish knee. And then going around the kneecap, as you probably know, if you feel knee pain and it's anywhere around the calf, it's usually muscles that are attaching to it. It's an easier situation to correct. But pain in the middle of the kneecap, straight behind the kneecap. Okay, so now I'm going to rotate the patella, the kneecap, just pushing it back and forth, and then taking a little circle. Sometimes you kind of feel it come loose, but this is a floater bone. You want to just make sure that it's moving, it's mobile. And then we're going to move up into the upper thigh. I usually take my fist and place it into my body to get up along the iliotibial tract, or the IT band. And I just run up there. And I do that because this is a tough little track, and I soften it with my knuckles, but I don't really like to use my knuckles. And then I will come up with my fingertips, the pads of the fingers, and up there, and then move into the middle of the quadriceps. There's 4 of them there, so you're going to move into the belly of it and along the edges, and then here, and being careful of that inguinal triangle, so you want to bend around that way. And then coming back down to the inner thigh, it's a bunch of kneading again, just similar to what was done on the calf at the low leg. Go up to about the inguinal triangle and then bring yourself into the attachment of the quadricep, the hip flexor, and then you can sort of pick up that big quad and maneuver a little bit around it and underneath it, and then you can go up with a nice flat hand and you feel a nice smoothness. I always like to kind of iron it when I'm done, because if I feel the muscle is smooth, then I know that there's been some changes. And then again with the thumbs, it's just going to go down along the IT band, and the pressure is going downward, and it's very smooth. You'll find that sometimes the IT band has a lot of issue. It ties up into the hip, and that's another reason. It's a stability point, but we also want it flexible enough so that it doesn't pull on the hip too much. Okay, so there's one leg. Back down carefully over the knee, and back down, and then one more push up for the blood flow. Okay. The inguinal triangle. Okay. So we start out coming up the outside. Here's where you can see it a little bit better on the outside here. So you're coming up right along the bone, and then you're going to come up next to the bone, and then a little bit farther away from the bone. So there's like 3 areas, and you can do a little circular movement if you want to. And then on the inside, coming up right next to the bone, and coming in again alongside of it, and then farther out into the calf muscle. Then we're going to knead the calf muscle reaching behind and picking up about where the middle of it is. You know, it's like working bread dough, but you want to be careful with it. You want to be delicate with it. And you want to make sure that you're not going deeper than what the tissue wants. You want to stay in that realm of communication with the body. And then we're going to do the pushing down here. This is the cross fiber from the bone down. And this is all feeling very good. The idea is to have the muscle feel very pliable, movable. That's a healthy feeling. Okay, we're doing good. And then we want to run our thumb up the side again and see if there's been any change. Sometimes you can go real slow at it if there's still a lot of maybe tension areas, little bands of tension. So I'll just show you, you can just slow down everything and go with just enough pressure to where the tissue's inviting you in, but not so much pressure that it's fighting you, so it should stay relaxed. You go as deep as you can, keeping that muscle relaxed. Now here we are into the knee area. It's very sensitive knees. We're going to work around it. And then I'm going to grab those little knobs and just give the joint a little rotation. You have to really kind of feel the bone moving because it's easier just to move the tissue, but you want to actually feel the bone moving. And then you can come and work around the knee. Again, if you have knee pain that comes alongside the knee, that isn't as serious as the pain that's right behind the kneecap. And then you can also move that. Now the kneecap is a little tight here. So we're going to work it. There it goes. Get yourself underneath kind of the knee. You know, as you work this, if you're a therapist, you'll begin to get different ideas. If you get yourself out of the way and quit trying to figure things out and just do it, the body will definitely show you what it wants, and it'll give you new ideas for how to maybe relax something down or correct something. The biggest problem that, especially when you get into working more subtle anatomy with energy, you have to stay out of your own way, because this is not a fix-it kind of thing. This is not a figuring it out in your head. This is more about following what the body wants, being respectful of that. And surrendering to what it does, and do what you can to help it get where it needs to. Not so much so in massage therapy, but as you get more subtle in your work, that's where it's important. And if your emotional self is fairly clear, you'll be able to get the signals a lot better than if you have some issues around whatever it is you're doing. Now here we're going to do that push down along the iliotibial tract. It probably looks a little bit more vigorous than it is, but there's a fair amount of pressure. I wouldn't say it's a massive amount, but it's enough to where the tissue is responding in a nice, relaxed way. And up we go. And you can feel it kind of around the hip. And up we go. And there it's nice and smooth. And again, you can go slower. Okay, so I just finished with the massage part, with working with the muscles more. So something else that you can do if you're working with massage therapy, or actually anything with the legs, is you can do some work on their leg, which helps to open up there's actually 3 muscles for the low back. If you have low back pain, oftentimes it's the psoas, the piriformis, and the sartorius muscle are the main culprits. So to do that, you can put your hand under here like so, and just bend the knee in, and don't help me, and then out. And you don't want them to help you at all. You want to just have it. And then this one you lift until the knee feels tight. That's all you have to do. And then just bend it in and up, straight. And it seems kind of maybe simple. And then, again, 3 times. And you want to make sure the leg is over the knee, the foot is over the knee. Then you can hold it here and just make little circles happen. And you want to make sure that the foot isn't. So you make little circles going each direction. Little tiny circles. And then you can cross the leg over, up and over. Now when you do this, I usually grab underneath, but you want to make sure the shoulder is stayed down right through there. But you want to make sure the shoulder doesn't come up and then down. And you can open the leg as well, but I'm not going to do that. And back down. And then the other side, it's similar, same kind of thing. Just make sure that when you bend the knee that the toe is over the knee. Down and then straight until you feel the tension. You don't want the knee to bend. Up and then straight and up. This just helps you to see the condition of the hip. Now, sometimes people are really heavy, but the thing you want to watch in this is that they don't help you. And that's the hard part, because voluntary muscles don't like to be told what to do. And then you can just bring it back down. But it's just a little way to just open up the hip. You can also see the health of the hip joint, and then you can come back here and move it. Sometimes when there's a one foot that's turning out, like here's one foot's turning out a little more than the other, you can just come up and kind of swing it in and place it. And then if that other one is still out, you can kind of swing it and place it. And then a lot of times what I do is I bring the feet together and then let them fall apart, and there you see that it's right in the balance. So we've got her all balanced.